that I demonstrated
I would say.
I'll see you after a while.
We don't have we don't know how long the program will go, so because we've never done it before and we haven't rehearsed it. So we really do thank everybody for coming tonight. This is an important moment for the school, all the people involved with the schools in our area. It is back to school time, so thanks to all the students and the teachers and the educational staff who are here tonight. Thank you so much, and we'll say more about that in a little bit. I have a few people I want to recognize, and I want to start because I know he has to leave early. This person right here is a really important person. His name is Cale Lockhart, and he is working for our next Congressional Representative, Abby Finkenauer. The Finkenauer campaign has an office at 1st Avenue and 19th Street Southeast in Cedar Rapids. Cale is there regularly. He's got some clipboards. They are looking for people to help, and obviously that race is extraordinarily important. Art and I have both served with Abby, and I will tell you, she knows how to do the job. She knows how to speak up. And for the good of our country, we need to do everything possible over the next 79 days to help her get elected to Congress. So if you have a chance, please see Cale, but he is going to have to leave because he's responsible for a canvas that is out and is supposed to be back in the office at 6 o'clock. So I want him back there by 5:40 at least in case people come back early. So Cale Lockhart, everybody. Okay, now I got that out of the way because that was really important to do. Art, you and I recognize the people who helped organize this picnic. Start? You want me to start? But if I get started, I might get so carried away. I'd say thanks to everybody.
Well, first of all, I do need to say thanks to everybody here. I'm looking around and I don't see a single person that hasn't helped in some important role. For my campaign, for Rob's campaign, for Democrats, everyone here has. I want to thank you for your past support and for coming to the picnic. I hope you are enjoying it.
Thank you, Art. And of course, Art and I have the pleasure of working with, and no offense to anybody from another part of the town here tonight, but what I consider the best grassroots Democratic House District 66 team. And that includes, we've got a number of people here. Scott Rowland, is Scott still here? Scott, thank you for being here. And Diane Sorensen out there at the table. And Ashley Burns, of course, who's done a great job. And incomparable, nothing compares to the incomparable, the master volunteer, the wizard, Elaine Golden. Yeah. All right. So here's the deal. The Democratic Party is trying to do organizing House District by House District. And if you're in House District 66 and you want to be part of that great team, see Diane or Helene or Ashley or Scott or Art or me, or others who have here been involved. And if you're not in House District 66, so if you're in House District 65, where I live, or if you're on the northwest side in 70 or 69 in the southwest side, or in one of the other adjacent districts up in Hiawatha, Marion Robbins, Bertram Ely, please get connected to your local Democratic Party and get involved because it is really, really important. Without these folks helping, we could not have had this picnic tonight and gotten so many people here. So I want to thank everybody for that. All right.
Especially want to thank Tim and all the members and Kelly and all the other members of the Cedar Rapids Education Association. And ISDA as well. helping out tonight, providing the food, and for always being there for me.
Yep. Thanks for all right, that's great. Okay, so I want
Like our spouses too, because they have.
yeah, we should. Let's just a little bit. We do need to recognize our school board member, Gary Ann Hall. Thank you, Gary, for being here. I want to make sure everybody gets to know, before she takes a bite, Madeline Carlson, who's helping on our campaigns. So thank you, Madeline. Well, and thanks to Robin Cash for always being the videographer. Thank you, Robin. So I introduced Kale with the Finkenauer campaign there at 1st and 19th. If you want to get connected to the main campaign office, that is at 1st and 27th, where Hubble and other candidates are running the campaign out of. And please come in and get acquainted with people there. I do want to mention as a technical thing that if you would like to take one of the yard signs that is here tonight and just put it up at your home tonight, you should feel free to do that. I would ask, if you're going to do that, to please let Diane and Elaine or Ashley at the table know, so that we can, Art and I, it's very important for us to keep track of where our yard signs are going, because not only do we want people to put them up during the campaign, Art and I have November 7th blocked off to pick them back up. So it's very, very important to make sure. Not every yard sign, sometimes yard signs don't get picked up. All right. Madeline. Okay, just a couple other things. All right. Art, do you have any other things you'd like to kind of share with the
I
group?
want to say too, if you're having trouble getting a hold of somebody, if you want to volunteer, you can get me on Facebook, Messenger, or I have a picture out here too. It's got my cell phone. Call me or stop by the office at 27th and Main, 1st Avenue. But if you're on social media of any kind, you want to get a hold of me if you want to help. There are all kinds of things that people can do. Writing letters, note cards, putting mailers together, lid drops and minis without talking to anybody, just putting stuff on doors. We've got calls to make for people that have had yard signs in the past, asking if they put them up again. All kinds of simple things that take a lot of time, and if you have more people that are helping with that, it gets done easily. So we sure would appreciate your help on that. So please contact us if you have an opportunity and you want to help.
Yep, absolutely. And my cards are up here have my home phone number on them, and the same goes for that. And then at this point, we should introduce the people who really make the whole operation work. And in my case, that's my wife Kate, who's standing out here outside the
My wife Susan, who works harder than I do every single day.
So we really put the plug in for people to volunteer. We really do need to get people involved in this campaign, because it is really, really important for the future of our state. If you are able to contribute financially to Art's campaign, my campaign, other campaigns, that is also really important so that people have the resources they need. So volunteering, if you can do it, contributing financially as you're able, that's really important. And I think really helping remind people that Iowa can do better than is currently happening right now under Governor Reynolds and the Republican majority in the legislature. There's been a lot of bad stuff that's happened for education, workers, the environment, health care.
Especially with special education.
Special education, disability services, mental health. And you see, once you get started, you really can't stop. There really have been a lot of bad things happening, and it is important to help people remember those things in November, but it's also important to remind people that Iowa can do better. And I know there is no greater champion that I serve with in the Iowa legislature for children and education than State Representative Staed, and we've got to get him back. Medal in 2008 in bringing a 4-year-old preschool to Cedar Rapids. He's been an absolute rock for supporting our K through 12 public schools. There is nobody who's been a better advocate for public schools than Art. And then he understands that lifelong learning carries on to community colleges and our universities and job training. That's what Art has spent his life in education and job training. Recently retired.
1 year now.
1 year he's been retired. Congratulations on that. But we need to remember that if Iowa invests in education and job training, we can really have the strong economy with higher wages and better jobs that we all want. So one more time, and then I'll introduce our featured speaker. But one more time, another round of applause for State Representative Art Staed. And then it is my pleasure to introduce one of my constituents who are, you know, she does live on the southeast side of Cedar Rapids and is not in your district.
Can't have everything.
You can't have everything. But just somebody who has just been a tremendous joy to work with during my service in the Iowa legislature. Always enjoyed it when your kids would go on my bike rides, right? Very special. And just recently completed just an outstanding tenure as the president of the Iowa State Education Association. Really, really great job in that role. And now she's going back after a few years to the job she really loves, going to be teaching at Wilson Middle School right here in Cedar Rapids. Past president of the Iowa State Education Association, Cedar Rapids classroom teacher, all-around great person, Tammy Wawro.
I've never been so happy to not be able to find a parking space than when I drove up today. Because we're tired, right? We're tired, and our neighbors are tired, and they don't want to talk about politics, and I got to my first staff meeting the other day, and I'm trying to be very quiet and listen, and politics is all over in the room. We're trying to fight over 30 computers for 120 kids and figure that out. That was a 2-hour conversation. It was politics. Everywhere I turn in my new life that I didn't want to have to talk about politics, it's politics. How many of you know what's on our quarter in Iowa? Raise your hand. What's on our quarter?
The schoolhouse.
Schoolhouse. Thanks. A schoolhouse. And I think we have forgotten where we came from, where our roots are. The conversations at my table was also, we're going to get measured on this, measured on that. We're worried about how Wilson's going to look in the paper. And yet, no one at Wilson, no staff member knows what the assessment's going to look like. Because it's politics. We don't have it yet. But they're going to score our kids on it. They're going to talk about our kids and act like they aren't doing well when we don't even know what that assessment is. And they're not measuring them against themselves. They're measuring them against some arbitrary number that they haven't even figured out yet. And it's all politics. A way to make us look like we're failing. But who's failing our kids? I'm sorry, it's Governor Reynolds and that situation that she has created. You're absolutely my Senator Hogg. I love him dearly as my senator. And I tell you what, we're here for him, we're here for Art. But we have got to get a new governor in this state. Yes. I beg you. Yes. We need help in, we need heart in. She's an educator. She's a farmer. She has everything we need to be in his ear. And that is wonderful. So while we're tired, our kids aren't tired. The only thing they're tired about is trying to figure out if they're really going to get lunch, if they're really going to get supper when they get home, and if their internet is going to work, if they even have it. They're tired. We have to fight for them. We have to find that energy, talk to our neighbors, and get it going because because we have to win. I would love to take questions.
I just want to ask you, I have something that really bothers me. I'm dying to ask something.
Okay?
I have heard that at high school level, that a high majority of children are anti-anxiety medicine.
So I don't know the numbers, but we have a large, and Rob can help me with this too, that our secondary students are suffering from anxiety, from ACEs. That's absolutely adverse childhood. Yes, actually, adverse childhood experiences that we can only imagine that they have seen and been through. When you figure 50%, just around 50% of all Cedar Rapids school children are on free and reduced lunch, that tells you there's food insecurity. And that's scary. The other big conversation my team had, 7th grade language arts teacher, we're talking about the fact we have 10:30 lunch. Now, other than the fact that's annoying and it's super early, you know what my teammate said that then I just said I'm in the right spot? My teammate said on Friday, because of early dismissal, it's a 10 o'clock lunch. And they may not eat for sure solid what they know they're going to eat until Monday. If you think about it.
That's a long time.
That's a long time. And so they know that's where my colleagues went. And I thought, oh, if our politicians could just hear what my colleagues were talking about, it is what can we do? What can we do before the football kids practice, knowing they ate at 10:30 and it's the first time 7th graders get to play football or volleyball? They ate at 10:30 in the morning and they have to practice right away after school, and. That's what we're talking about in our schools, and that's crazy that we have to have those conversations. And then on top of it, the mental health, the anxiety. Tandra plays close. Those kids are all put right into our schools. There's suicide watches we're talking about. I thought I heard it all when I was lobbying at the legislature. I had not heard it all. And I'm so glad I'm back before I continue to have policy conversations later in my life, to continue to listen and learn what my colleagues and my students are hearing about. Yes.
I was in special ed for my entire school life, from when I was 6 years old to when I graduated at the age of 21.
Okay.
And I would like to see that children and young adults with special needs continue to have the extra help with special education.
That's right. They deserve every child. Anything else? Yes. Mary.
Just in Cedar Rapids alone, I believe there's 500 children in family foster care, and those children get the free lunches. And for the ACEs she was talking about is like a family member that's been incarcerated. They have been physically abused. They've been sexually abused. They've seen violence in their home where maybe let's say a mom got knocked out, but she's still knocked out when they go to school. And they've got to go to school and sit in their desk and learn, wondering, is mom okay, or is she going to wake up when I get home? There's some really, there's just some really ugly things on the ACEs that the childhood experiences that they've gone through, and they've got to go to school and they've got to learn after going through that trauma. And from going through that trauma, their brain switches, so then they act out big time in school, which is a disruption in the classroom. But their little brains cannot process it, so then they have the acting out, and you wonder why can't they be good? It's not that they want to do the right thing, but they can't because their brains are scrambled.
And the lack of school psychologists. I taught at Hiawatha for 11 years in 5th grade, and then I started the mentoring induction program in Cedar Rapids, and then was released to be the CREA president, and then elected ISA president. And from that time, the amount of time that a school psychologist has in a classroom is so much different. When we need it more, it's less. There is no way I would just know that I could call a school psychologist and talk to them like I could 8 years ago. Yes, Bernard.
How you do, ma'am?
I'm good, my friend.
I have one thing to say about the ACEs. It's a good tool, but you have to be careful that it doesn't get misused. And then I want to ask you two questions. I want to try to tell you that. How much local, I know we get money from the state, how much can local control make a difference in schools? And did your organization take a position on what Superintendent Tate did in Davenport in terms of position taken up? And what did you personally think of what Superintendent Tate did?
So Superintendent Tate went against the state law and spent more money than the state said he could spend in Davenport because he wanted to spend what other districts were spending per pupil. He had it in his coffers, but the state makes a minimum amount a district to spend, and he spent what he thought was fair. They had the money, he spent it. He went against state law. So on the side of, you have to abide by the law, and the law is the law. What he did was wrong, it was illegal. It was moral and ethically right. So however you want to take that answer, I'm not running for anything, I'm in the class.
Well, I'm gonna say this, the American Revolution was illegal.
There you go, and he was the start of that. Absolutely. It was very brave, and someone like a superintendent can do that and should do that. They can do that. What's he have to
Dr.
lose?
King
Good
taught
free
us
time.
that just because it's a law doesn't mean it's right.
Right, yeah, look at the voter law right there, that's right. You had a,
Well, on the
slow
local.
it down for me, Bernard.
The other question was the maximum. What flexibility does a local
Oh.
school have? And you just kind of answered it.
Yeah, and in Cedar Rapids, they have had decreased enrollment, so the money comes in per pupil, but if you don't have as many pupils but that still means you might have 100 less kids at Harding, but look at Harding, it still has to run. You still have to pay the bills. So there's less funding going in there and increase in bills, just like our homes. So all of that is state. That is state driven. We are a very state run school system, and that's right, because it shouldn't matter what zip code you live in, and that's why the state has to help with that. It shouldn't matter. Now, in other places, there's a higher tax revenue coming in, and they build some of that up, but PTAs do a lot. Again, it shouldn't matter what zip code you live in. It shouldn't matter that you have the best PTA in the state. I don't think I probably do at Wilson. I probably have the best PTA that wants to do a lot of stuff, but they probably don't have the money coming in that Harding's PTA does. You'll see it when our football team gets out there.
All right, do we have one more question maybe? Christine?
So I was just gonna say, I'm with Moms Demand Action for Gun Sense in America, and I had a teenage girl come to one of my meetings, and she said she's on anti-anxiety medication because her and her friend, because they're afraid of school shootings. And when I volunteer at Bowman Woods in the Linmar district, they had to rearrange their classrooms and tell the kids, how to escape if there's a bad guy coming in. And we just can't have that be our norm for the kids. We need to pass.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, thanks to Tammy Wawro. You mentioned on that note, Christine, of the Moms Demand Gun Sense, we also have several representatives, if they're paying attention out there, for Kevin Dreyhaus and the other folks with March for Our Lives, student group. And then we also have, if I can get his attention out there, Rashad Dixon, who is working for the Campaign for Iowa's office at 1st Avenue and 27th Street. So we met Hale earlier with Abby Finkenauer's campaign. This is Rashad Dixon, a Linmar graduate, Iowa State student, taking a semester off to help us win these elections. So please meet Rashad if you want to get involved and volunteer. And then I'm going to wrap up with just a couple of final points. We have recycling here if you have stuff that would recycle. Otherwise, the garbage goes in the garbage cans. So let's see how this group does separating our waste stream. Because most political events don't have recycling. And I'm trying to do this so we can have the recycling. Plastic table service can be recycled, right? Cedar Rapids does that, or the Solid Waste Agency does a great job. Thank you. Okay, then the final thing I want to say is thank you so much to everybody who brought school supplies. We will be making that available through the local education association for teachers to give to students in need. You've all heard about how teachers spend their own money, right, to provide school supplies to students. Well, we're trying to do our part here to help out a little bit, so thank you to everybody who brought school supplies. Art, do you have any final thoughts?
Thank you. You are the blue wave.
Yep. Thanks everybody for coming. Support food and enjoy yourselves.